I'm Yudhika Sujanani, and I'll be taking you and your taste buds on a culinary journey.
Chef, author and entrepreneur Yudhika Sujanani has made a success of her passion for food. Starting her career in the hotel kitchens of Durban at the tender age of just 14, Yudhika's world of food came to life working alongside her mother, who turned cooking into an adventure. Not only has she penned 3 inspiring cookbooks, but she's also made a success of 2 award-winning restaurants, where her delicious signature dishes and hot curries were legendary. Currently, you'll find her playing the part of hostess, chef and cookery teacher at her deli in the north of Johannesburg.
Our spice journey takes us to Morocco today. Some of the essential ingredients used in Moroccan cooking: cumin seeds, caraway seeds, chili, olive oil and garlic. On my menu we've got harissa spiced meatballs, and then to go with that a nutty couscous and a pomegranate raita. For dessert, a Moroccan-inspired orange and almond cake with a chocolatey twist. Let's get cooking. I'm starting out with a Moroccan-inspired almond and orange cake. For that I've got some butter, soft salted butter, and then I'm going to add some sugar. And let's cream the butter and sugar until it's light and fluffy. The butter's now light and fluffy. In go the eggs. I've got 5 large eggs here going in one at a time. Just crack those in. And with that, a teaspoon of flour going in with each egg. Beat this for a minute. Use a spatula and scrape down the sides of the bowl. And just work the ingredients together. It's important to scrape the bowl so you mix the batter properly. In goes some lemon zest and orange zest. Some salt, about half a teaspoon. Another stir. You've got these beautiful aromas coming through from the citrus zest. I've got some ground almonds here, half the ground almonds going in now. It's important to add your ingredients slowly so you mix thoroughly after each addition and you get a really smooth batter. Next, in goes 100 ml of orange juice. Stir gently to incorporate that. Now you can also flavor this cake with some cinnamon or cardamom if you like. I just love the orange and almond together. In goes the remaining almond, and then the flour as well. To this I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder. And again, just work those ingredients through until they're combined. That lovely batter is now ready. I've greased and lined a 25 centimeter loose bottom tin. And it's important to use a loose bottom tin so it's easy to get this cake out of the tin. We've preheated the oven at 160 degrees Celsius. Now the batter goes into the tin. Just swirl the mixture around. This is going to bake for about 50 minutes at 160 degrees Celsius. While the cake's in the oven, I'm going to prepare a topping. Now there are 2 toppings for this cake. One is a citrusy syrup that I use on top of the cake and we pour it over while the cake's hot. The second is a lovely luscious chocolate sauce. For that, we've got chocolate going into the top of a double boiler. And we're just going to stir that through. And remember, use good quality chocolate. I'm using 70% cocoa for this. And just stir that through and keep moving it around. Now it's important not to melt the chocolate on a very high temperature or it will cause the chocolate to burn. And what a waste of good chocolate that would be. Now you can just use a heat-proof bowl over a pan of simmering water if you don't have a double boiler. I'm using an AMC pan for this. Just keep the heat on quite low, gentle simmer. And just remember, keep your baking spoons and spatulas apart from your cooking ones. You don't want your lovely chocolate topping to smell or taste like garlic. That looks delicious. I've always had this cake, sometimes with icing sugar, sometimes with syrup. My version now has the syrup and the chocolate topping, and chocolate and orange are match made in heaven. The chocolate's now melted, in goes the butter. Just pop that through. Now turn off the heat. We don't want to heat this chocolate anymore. Stir this through, gently melting the chocolate and the butter together, forming a lovely, glossy, chocolatey sauce. And the reason we're making this now is the sauce needs to cool down and thicken before we pour it over the cake. You could use a touch of icing sugar to sweeten this, but since we're doing Moroccan food, a blob of good honey will do nicely. I'd say about a tablespoon going in, just to slightly sweeten that topping. For this topping, only use really good chocolate. By that I mean chocolate that you would love to eat, not the easy melt kind of varieties or the catering grade chocolate. The sauce is smooth, it's glossy, it's rich. I almost feel like drinking it. Now you can flavor this with some vanilla, cinnamon sticks, cardamom, even chili flakes. Let's leave this aside to cool, and ever so often just give it a stir. It's called tempering the chocolate. And we're going to let this thicken. When we come back, we're going to get started with the harissa spice Moroccan meatballs. Today we've got Moroccan-inspired flavors on our menu. I've already baked this exotic almond and orange cake. It's in the oven already, and now it's time to get on with the harissa spice Moroccan meatballs. Now for that we're going to make a harissa paste. And for the paste we're going to need some garlic. Harissa is one of those must-have Moroccan ingredients, and I'm making the red harissa. There's also a green harissa. To the garlic I've got a handful of chopped coriander, I'd say about 15 grams, and then 2.5 mils of caraway seeds. To that, the juice of 1 lemon, and then the zest of a lemon as well. Now you can use dried red chilies or fresh chilies for this. I've got beautiful fresh red chilies in my garden. I've got about 8 here. Some really good quality olive oil going into the jug. Let's blitz this. I enjoy using coriander in this. Remember, when you are making a little batch of paste, a stick blender works best. That's done. Time to prepare the harissa spice sauce for those Moroccan meatballs. Now here I've got a pan, I've heated it up already. In goes some sunflower oil. Next I'm going to add a cinnamon stick and a bay leaf. And cumin seeds. It's amazing how these spices are used all over India and even in Moroccan and Arabic food as well. And now give that a stir. Don't be afraid of trying new flavors in your kitchen. I've never been to Morocco, but I'm simply in love with the idea of Moroccan food. It's actually on my bucket list as a holiday destination. I've got 1 chopped onion going in. To this, I'm going to add some salt, say about a teaspoon of salt going in. I'd rather under-season than over-season. Now saute these onions until light golden brown, so they dissolve into the sauce and they add lots of flavor as well. Now in goes the harissa paste. I'd say about 4 tablespoons. Going in on the side of the pan. If you have a little remaining sauce, you can always pop it into the freezer. It will keep for up to a month. Stir that through. And we have these lovely coriander, garlicky flavors coming through. Next, In goes the chopped tomatoes. You need super ripe tomatoes for this sauce. I'm actually using tinned tomatoes. You can use fresh ones as well. Just remember to blanch them in boiling water and remove the skins, then chop them and add them to the sauce. Now, sugar going in. That's just to balance the sauce and bring out the sweetness in the tomatoes. Now reduce the heat and let that sauce simmer until it thickens beautifully. Now onto the meatballs. The first thing you need to do is to remove your jewelry, like rings, because you're going to do some mixing. We've got 500 grams of lamb mince. To that, some chopped mint. Mint works really, really well with lamb. Then we've got some chopped red onion going into the mixing bowl. To this, some garlic. And then some ginger. I love the flavor of ginger with lamb. An egg yolk going in. I'm using an egg yolk in this just to bind that mixture. Fine salt going in. Cumin and coriander going in. Spicing up those meatballs. Let's give that a mix. Now let's mold these into meatballs. Just grab little portions of the mixture and roll them into balls. Now these are quite rustic meatballs, so they don't have to be even. The last one, and this goes straight into the sauce. Now I'm going to pop these meatballs, the rest of them, into the sauce as well. Now it's simmering on a low heat. You could also fry them. I prefer poaching them in this lovely harissa tomato sauce. This will take approximately 10 to 12 minutes to cook on a low heat. Just remember to take it easy. You don't want the meatballs falling apart by turning up the heat too high. And you can also use a combination of chicken and pork mince for this recipe, or beef mince as well. These meatballs are coming along quite nicely. Now a touch of liquid going in so they don't dry up too much. I'd say about half a cup of water going in. I'm not stirring them, just moving them around quite gently. Shake the pot, pop the lid back on, and leave that to simmer. Time to check on the cake. Let's have a look. The cake's golden brown. It's come away from the sides of the tin. While the cake's hot, let's prepare the syrup. And for that, let's get a pan on medium heat. First ingredient going in, some orange juice. To this, add some lemon juice. And then sugar. Remember when you're baking not to use a wooden spoon, especially if it's not your baking wooden spoon. You don't want to get curry flavors or spicy flavors in your cakes and your syrups as well. Now dissolve the sugar and bring this up to the boil. The syrup has thickened. Now just use a skewer or a toothpick and make some holes in this cake. And then pour the syrup over. Leave that to infuse. I'm just going to use this little spoon and spread that syrup around. Remove the pan from the heat. When we come back, we'll be preparing the nutty couscous, the pomegranate raita, and then finishing up on this lovely cake. I've been cooking up my Moroccan-inspired feast today. I've got that almond and orange cake already drenched in that lovely syrup, and then we've got the harissa spiced Moroccan meatballs done. Now for the couscous. I've heated up some chicken stock, a cup and a half of chicken stock, a pinch of salt going in, and as soon as this comes up to the boil, we're going to add the couscous. This is homemade stock. You can use a cup and a half of water and a stock cube if you like. A cup and a half of couscous going in. Now couscous is used all over North Africa. It's a staple. Now you can also serve this with rice if you like, but I like a bit of couscous. And with couscous you can work magic. You can flavor it with pesto or even roasted vegetables. I'm using chicken stock and then some pistachio nuts that have been roasted and almonds too. I'm going to leave those couscous grains to swell up. In the meantime, let's prepare the raita. Now for this I've got some yogurt, and to that I've got some sprouts as well, and I've got linseed sprouts here, but they make any dish look so incredibly lively. Then some Israeli cucumbers. These are the little cucumbers that are sliced. Now place the cucumber on top of the sprouts, and then garnish with some pomegranate rubies. These are great. You can buy them and keep them in the freezer until you need them. A little sprinkling of salt going on top, and now that's ready. Let's move on to the cake. Now the cake's cooled down beautifully. It's quite glossy from that lovely orangey syrup. Pop it out the tin. And now we need a cake stand. I'm leaving it on the loose bottom. This is the chocolate we melted and cooled down earlier. And just keep working that through. You can see it's really quite a glossy sauce. Now just pour that over the cake. It is so smooth and silky. And just spread it over. I'm working it around the sides of the cake, around the edges of the cake. I'm adding it in little stages, taking care to work it around. We don't want all the chocolate dripping off the sides. If you find the chocolate doesn't set, it might be too warm in your kitchen, then you'd need to just pop it into the fridge for a little while to cool down. I think my kitchen's really hot at the moment. Now you can garnish this with some orange zest, but I'm going to really bling it up and use some gold leaf. That looks really pretty. And then the gold leaf. Now you can find this at most good baking stores. Little bits of gold leaf. It's impossible to do this without getting your fingers really messy. Gold leaf sticks to everything. Now this is edible gold leaf. You can also find the artist variety, which isn't the edible one. This chocolatey twist really adds the wow factor to this cake. This is my exotic version of the almond and orange cake with a chocolatey twist. The couscous should be ready by now. Let's have a look and get ready to serve. The grains have plumped up beautifully. Use a fork and just break down any lumps in the couscous. That looks just about right. Now I've roasted some pistachio nuts. In they go. I'm saving a few for garnish. Same with the almonds. Lightly roasted some almonds as well. I'm using almond flakes. Quite like these. They add a bit of interest to the couscous. Also saving some as a garnish. Then some fresh coriander going on top. Again, use the fork and mix those ingredients through. This lovely nutty couscous is now ready. pop it into a serving dish. That's the last little bit of couscous going into the dish. Garnish with those almonds and also with those pistachios. Let's check on the meatballs. Those meatballs have steamed up beautifully. They've changed colour. Let's pop them into a serving dish. Kids find meatballs quite hard to resist. It's a great way of introducing them to different flavours. I use the meatball trick. And remember, you can actually reduce the red chilli to get your kids to eat these. I'm serving this with raita, which also takes away a little bit of that chili burn in the meatballs. Now, going on top, a few sprigs of coriander just to finish up. And that's the harissa spiced Moroccan meatballs. That's my Moroccan feast all done. We've got the harissa spiced Moroccan meatballs. To go with that, a nutty couscous, and to take away a bit of that burn, a creamy pomegranate raita, and lastly, this exotic almond and orange cake with a chocolate topping. Don't be afraid to experiment with spices and create different flavors. Until next time, from me it's goodbye.